Have you heard about all these great tax refunds by shopping in Europe but have no idea how to get them? Well, keep watching because I am going to tell you how. And welcome back to my channel. I have gotten a ton of questions on the VAT or VAT refund. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I recently took a trip over to France and I made some purchases there, and the taxes that they include in those purchases are refundable, which means that I am able to get that amount back since I am not an EU citizen. I wanted to help explain to you how the entire VAT process works and then also share my experiences with everything because it can be kind of confusing. When I was first planning my trip to Europe and I knew I wanted to make luxury purchases, I did a ton of research so that way I knew how to get that refund back in order to save even more money. Now, pricing in Europe is already a lot less than prices here in the United States, and so here I am going to explain the entire process to you. Now, keep in mind, I am a US citizen, so everything that I tell you is going to strictly be for somebody who is a US citizen traveling to Europe. I haven't traveled anywhere else in order to get that VAT refund. I think Mexico offers it, Asia, Australia, but since I haven't been to those places, I wanted to strictly focus on what I know. So I'm going to walk you through the entire step-by-step process. In Europe, the VAT or value added tax is automatically included in everything that you buy. So whereas in America you have the price of something and then when you go to purchase it they tack on that tax, in Europe everything's already included in the price. So if something says that it's 20 euro, you're going to go up there and you're going to pay 20 euro. So it's a little bit different than how we have it in America. This percent can vary from country to country. So for example, like in France and England, the VAT is 20%, whereas in Italy it is 22%. And there's a list online of all of the different countries. So if you're going to a specific country and you want to know what their VAT is, you can look it up online and it will tell you what that percentage rate is. Now, as a non-EU resident, you can get a portion of the VAT back. So how this works is when you're at a store that offers a VAT refund, and you can tell which stores do it. Most luxury stores, I think, automatically do it, but if you're not sure if a specific store does it, usually they'll have like a little sticker out on their front window that explains that they can give you the VAT refund. But if you go into a store that offers this service, as long as you spend 175 euro or more, then you are able to get this back. Now, there are a couple of different VAT refund programs that essentially work the same way, like Global Blue or Premier Tax Free, but I think that their fees and percentages are a little bit different, but certain stores will use different programs, but you're going to go through the exact same process regardless of the program that's used. Now, in order to reach that 175 euro threshold, you might only be wanting to make a couple of small purchases, and if that's the case, I would recommend going to a department store where they have all of those different stores within it, because then you can take all of the receipts from all of your purchases, go to one counter within the department store. Sometimes they will have an entire area dedicated to giving you that VAT refund. And then that way you can still get that full VAT refund even if you're not spending that 175 euro with one particular brand. So for example, you can go to places like Selfridges, Harrods, Liberty, or Galeries Lafayette. You can go to Longchamp, buy a bag for 95 euro. You can go over to Gucci and buy, like a scarf or a wallet for 100 euro. And if you add those two purchases together, that'll equal that 175 euro threshold. So from there, you would take your receipts, you would go up. Sometimes it's on a different floor if it's a really large department store, but you would go to the area where they do the tax refund, and then you can give them all of the receipts. They'll put everything together in one document and give you one form for the single tax refund for that department store. Now, say you were purchasing items at a standalone boutique like Chanel, Louis Vuitton, things like that. So you're just going to go up to the register. Unless you're really good at speaking the language of the country you're in, they could probably tell by your accent that you're not from there and that you are wanting to get that VAT back. It's super common and they'll probably just offer it to you right away. But when you go to make your purchase, make sure that you have your passport with you for anything that you want to purchase. So you're going to give them your passport, let them know that you want the VAT refund, and then the cashier who's ringing you up can fill out all that paperwork for you. So they'll just get all of your contact information, your passport information, type everything up. And then once they're all done processing that, they'll give you your receipt for the store purchase and then separate forms for your tax-free documents. And usually you have to sign a couple, like a couple for yourself that you keep and then a couple that the store keeps. Now I have some of the paperwork here. I wanted to show you what it looks like. So you're first off going to get an envelope. This particular one is from Premier Tax Free. This one is sent to Ireland. So this is what the envelope looks like, and it has the instructions on here of how you're going to process your refund. It even has a picture of the little kiosk that you would go to, and then if it's a green light or a red light, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But this is one of the envelopes you can get. This is the Global Blue envelope that you would possibly get depending on whatever company the store goes through. Excuse all of the rips and tears. This thing went through my luggage, but this is the Global Blue one, and again, it has all of the instructions on how to process your refund, and it has the instructions in pretty much any language that you would possibly need. And then these are the forms that you're going to receive from the store. So this one here is like my Chanel receipts when I made my purchases at Chanel. So they gave me the receipt itself, and this is what I would keep for my personal records for authenticity, or if I ever wanted to sell the bag or anything like that. So I can always hang on to this receipt itself. And then they're going to give you some separate forms to sign, and these are the ones that are going to have the barcodes on it. So here is one of the pages. Again, it gives you all of the instructions here. And then this is the form that I am going to go in and scan at the airport. So it breaks everything out. It breaks out all of my purchases, what the actual taxes are that were added into the purchase, as well as the taxes that I am eligible to get back. I'm trying to not show off all of my information. This is what the top of the form looks like. This right here is the barcode that you are going to scan once you get to the airport. And like I said, I will get more into that in just a moment, but I just wanted to walk you through what the forms and everything look like. When you are making your purchase, they are going to ask you an important question, and that is whether you would like your refund via cash or via credit card. And there are a couple of pros and cons for each of these depending on which one suits your needs better. So if you want the money back via credit card, the pro is that you're going to get more money back. There are fewer fees taken if you get the refund via a credit card. The con, however, is that it takes a little bit longer to get that refund credited back to your card. And then another thing to know, whatever day they credit the refund back onto your card, that is the day that they take whatever that current exchange rate is. So if you are following exchange rates and they're fluctuating a lot, then you could either get a better exchange rate or a worse exchange rate depending on how it fluctuates and the day that they credit that back. So that's just another thing to be aware of. Now, if you choose your refund via cash, you are going to get this cash back at the airport. So one of the pros here is you're going to get the cash right away. So you don't have to wait weeks or months to get it back via your credit card. But since you are getting it with the cash, you are going to have higher fees taken out of what you can get back. So that is one of the negatives, where you're not going to get quite as much, but there is going to be no issue, no question. You are for sure going to get some type of a refund. Now, since you are getting it with the cash, that means that there's going to have to be a person there to give you the cash. So depending on what time of year you go, if it's really, really crowded, then that's going to be some additional time you're going to have to spend at the airport waiting in line to get that cash back. Whereas with a credit card, the only thing you're waiting on is the credit card company, and so that can be done in the comfort of your own home. Now, one thing to note, once you get the cash back, it is going to be in whatever currency the country that you're in uses. So if you're in France or in Italy, they're going to give you that refund in euros. So if you are leaving the country and then you just got a whole bunch of euros, you're going to probably be spending an additional fee to exchange those, or you're stuck with euros for maybe whatever the next time you're going to be traveling to that country is. So with cash, you're going to be losing a little bit of money. So you're going to be losing money because you got it in cash as opposed to a credit card. And then you're going to be losing money with the, not only the exchange rate, but once you do exchange it, sometimes they'll take an additional fee for exchanging it. So those are all things to keep in mind. Personally, I have always gotten my refunds back with a credit card just because I know that I can get the highest percentage back. Okay, so once you've decided if you want the cash back or back on your credit card, you let your cashier know when you're making your purchases. They'll give you all the paperwork here that I showed you, and then you can be on your way back to touring your country. When you are ready to go home, you are headed to the airport. With an international flight, you have to check in 2 hours early. When you are wanting to get a refund, I recommend adding on an additional hour on top of that, so getting there about 3 hours early to make sure that you will have plenty of time to get your refund. If you are traveling during peak tourist season, which is usually like in the summertime, or if there's a big event going on, things like that, like Carnival in Italy in February, you're going to want to get there an extra hour early, maybe even 2 hours early, just to get your refund processed, because there are going to be lines. There is going to be a big line for the kiosks, and then there's going to be a line if you need to get the cash back or have any of your paperwork or anything like that stamped. So when you get to the airport, you're going to take all of your documents, and once you find the VAT office, which is usually on the outside of security, so it's going to be before you go through security, check-in, and everything like that. You're going to take all of your purchases, all of your paperwork. Hopefully you won't have to stand in line. You're going to go up to the kiosk, put in your passport information, and then scan your barcode for each one of your documents. And then the screen is going to either flash green, which means you're good to go, you don't have to do anything else, or it's going to flash red. Now, if it flashes red, that means that you're going to have to take all of your purchases, all of your documents, and go up to the window where there's an actual officer. They're going to look through all of your paperwork, they're going to stamp it, and that means that you are getting ready to export these items out of the country. Now, if that's the case, sometimes they'll ask to see those items. If you just have to scan it, you get the green light, you don't have to show anybody your items. But if they have to stamp it and they ask for your items, then that's why you want to make sure it's not in your checked luggage, it's not already, sent to be put on the plane, because if they're not able to verify that you have those items, then they're not going to stamp it and you won't get your refund. So if it's green, you're good to go. You don't even have to mail it back. You can just scan it, green, leave. If it's red, you take all of your items, your forms, give it to them, they'll stamp it. You're gonna put all of your paperwork in the envelope that they give you. It is already prepaid, so you don't have to go buy a stamp or anything. And then at the airport, there's gonna be giant post boxes around the value-added tax area. So they're either gonna be like bright red or bright yellow. I believe they're metal, or sometimes they're just clear, and you can just put all of your envelopes, make sure that you seal everything up. You can put all of your envelopes in there, and they will automatically mail it to wherever it needs to go, and again, it'll have the address and everything on here. If you chose the cash option, after you scan your forms or get them stamped, then you're going to take those forms and stand in another line in order to get the cash back. So usually there's going to be 2 separate windows, one for getting the form stamped and then one for actually getting the cash back. Once you have everything scanned in or mailed in, now you play the waiting game if you chose the credit card refund. So it can take anywhere from just 1 week to 6 weeks before you see that refund back on your bank statement. And then once you check your bank statement, you see the refund has come in, you are good to go. You just saved yourself a whole bunch of money. Now, kind of to go back and recap, in order to be sure that you're eligible to get this VAT refund, there are just a couple of parameters that you need to make sure that you fall into. One, you need to make sure that you are a non-EU resident. Residents don't get that refund back. They have to pay for it as part of their just normal sales tax for their country. 2, the store purchases have to be over that €175 threshold to be eligible to get that refund. And then 3, you have to make sure that you are leaving the country with those items within 1 month of purchasing. So say you are a student and you're going over there to study abroad and you're going to be there for 3-4 months. You make all of your purchases right when you get there. You're not exporting those items out when you leave until 3 or 4 months later. And at that point, you're not able to get that refund back because it's kind of like as if somebody who lives there were to purchase them, which means that they would have to pay those taxes. Also, there are some stores that give you that refund back right away in store. So Sephora is one of them. So if you go over there, you buy €175 worth of items in Sephora, they will give you the cash back right there in the store, which is really nice. I don't know of any other stores that do that. I just know that Sephora, they had it all over their windows on the outside stating that you can get the refund back right away. So it'd be really nice if more stores did that, and then you wouldn't have to go through all these hoops at the airport. But I just wanted to let you know that that is also an option. Another thing to note, when I was in Hermes this last trip, I made a purchase that was under €175. And they told me that if I were to go into another Hermes in the same country and made another purchase, and both of those combined purchases would be over that threshold, I could just bring in my receipt from the previous purchase and I could get the VAT refund back that way. So I don't know if all stores do that, but I just know for a fact that Hermes in France does that. So if you were making a purchase at one Hermes store and then another smaller purchase at another store, bring in the receipts, they'll combine those, and then they can give you the refund paperwork back that way. Now, I often get questions like, what items are eligible to get a refund back? Only items that can be exported out of the country are eligible, as well as non-consumables. So items like your hotel stay, rental car, gas, food, anything like that, even with food, if you export it out of the country, that is not eligible to get a refund. It's only going to be solid, tangible items that you're bringing out of the country that you'll be able to be refunded on. Another question that I've gotten is, where do you file your VAT paperwork? Like, where do you go in to scan it at which airport? So say, for example, you are traveling to Europe, you're going to be traveling all over different countries. Go and make a purchase in England, you make a purchase in France, and then you are in Italy, you are flying home from Italy, but you have a layover in Germany, and then you're coming back to the United States. You are going to be filling out all of your paperwork and scanning everything in Italy, because that is going to be the last main airport hub that you would be in before leaving the EU, especially if you have a really short layover in another country, in this scenario, Germany, and you're flying back home. You're going to be able to take care of everything in Italy to make sure that you have plenty of time to do it, get everything scanned. And it doesn't matter which country you're making the purchases in, as long as you scan all of your paperwork before you leave the EU to go back to the United States, then everything should be good. Now, one thing to note here is if you are traveling to Switzerland, Norway, or Turkey, these three countries are not included in the EU, which means that if you were to make a purchase in Switzerland, you have to file your VAT refund paperwork in Switzerland before you leave to go to a different country. So say you're traveling by train, there should be either the VAT refund office in the main train station that you're leaving from, or you might have to get off the train at the last train station before the train leaves the country. Sometimes there will also be agents that get onto the train to help you file all of the paperwork and everything. So just double check this before you leave that country. Now, my number one tip for you is to never put your luxury purchases in your checked baggage. And there are a few different reasons why. First off, if the agents need to see the items and they're in your checked luggage, then you're not getting the refund back. Second, your luggage can get lost, and it happens. And if it's lost, then so are all of your items. Also, sometimes the items can just disappear because maybe a TSA agent was going through and make sure there's nothing bad in there. They see something they like and it walks away. So you want to make sure all of your items come home with you safe and sound. And TSA doesn't always handle all of their bags with care. So if you have a really nice bag in your checked luggage or something valuable, breakable, and then, they're tossing your suitcases around, another suitcase goes on top of it, it can damage those items. So you want to make sure that they are nice, safe, and protected, and nobody's going to do that better than you are. Now, say you are a resident of the EU and you're like, hey, I want to save some money on this tax refund stuff. How do I do that? There actually is a way, and that is going to be purchasing items duty-free at an airport. So the main one is going to be Heathrow in London. They have tons of stores in the duty-free area. So even if you live in London or live in England, live anywhere in the EU and you're flying out of a main airport that has a lot of stores that you like and you want to shop at, and you're going out of Europe from there, then you can shop there and save yourself this money. Because it is duty free, that means that it is not subject to those local taxes, and you're automatically saving that 20%. So even if you're an American citizen, you can shop there, get the duty free, and you don't have to worry about the tax refund. You're just automatically getting it that way as well. Now, the only caveat to this is depending on the item that you're looking for. Say you're looking for a Chanel Classic flap. Typically, they don't stock these items in airports. So if you just want to buy pretty much anything, you want to see what they have and just get it on a whim, then that would be a good option. But if you were looking for a specific item, limited edition, hard to come by, those usually aren't going to be in the airport, and you are going to have to go through the whole VAT refund process. Some other fees that are involved in shopping overseas are going to be customs and duties fees when you get back here to the US. So even though you saved all this money on taxes over there, you still may have to pay taxes back here in the US on those items that you purchased. So as of now, each person is allotted $800 in purchases over there where they don't have to pay any duties or taxes or anything on that. So if you are in a group of, say, 3 people, even if one of them is a baby or 2 of them is baby, whatever, every single person gets $800 worth of tax-free purchases. Now, they don't match this up with passport numbers and who made the purchases. It's just if a group or a family is traveling together, then they get $800 worth per person. So say there are 3 people traveling together, they would get $2,400 total amongst themselves to be able to go out, spend on purchases, and not have to worry about paying any extra fees. But say, for example, they all spent $3,000 total. That means that that difference, that $600, is going to be subject to the customs and duties fees once they get back to the US. And currently that is at 3%. So if that group goes out, spends $3,000 on purchases, comes back, they're going to have to pay a whopping $18 more on customs and duties. Now, that doesn't seem like too high of a cost, but if you're going out spending, go buy an Hermes Birkin for $10,000, then it can increase the price a little bit there. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail on customs and duties because I wanted to really focus this video on the VAT refund. So if you have any other questions on it, let me know in the comment section down below. I have made a few trips to Europe, so I could answer probably anything that you would need to know there. So just let me know. And finally, I want to share with you real world numbers on exactly how much you can save by shopping in Europe. Now, the reason so many people go over there to shop in Europe isn't just for the VAT refund, but it's also because the actual prices of the items are a lot less. And I know in recent years, Chanel has tried to make all of their prices cohesive throughout the world, depending on exchange rates and things like that. But overall, Europe has the best prices. So when you go over there, you're going to want to keep a really good eye on the exchange rates, especially if they're fluctuating a lot. You're going to want to see, oh, this day they're really low. I need to go out and make all my purchases then. Because if you're buying a Chanel bag or something, that's pretty high. So 1 cent difference in the exchange rate is going to be a significant amount on your overall purchase. So I'm not sharing these numbers with you so I can brag about purchases or anything like that. I think that it's just really nice to know the exact dollar amount going into it so that way you can really see if this is something that you're interested in. I know that sometimes the VAT refund can seem like a little bit of a headache. It's really not that big of a deal. This last trip that I went on, I just went in, scanned my paperwork, got the green light, and a week later, I got my refund back. So it was super simple and easy. The only thing is you just have to get to the airport a little bit early because you don't know if there are going to be any lines. Luckily, there weren't any lines at all. When we went, we just walked right up. There's all these kiosks available and it was real quick in and out. But it's really not that big of a deal as long as you aren't traveling like in the middle of the summer. But now I'm going to share with you the numbers, prices, and the exact amount that I was able to save by shopping over in Europe. So I made a couple of purchases in Chanel and Louis Vuitton. So those are the 2 that I am going to give you examples on. You are also able to see what the prices are of these items online. So if you go to the Louis Vuitton website, just type in FR if you're wanting to shop in France. You can just type fr.louisvuitton.com and then you're taken to the French website, so you can see what the exact prices are in euro for those items. So you can kind of check in ahead of time to see what the price difference is in euro. You can do the exchange rate yourself, and then that way you can calculate how much back you would also get in the refund. Now, when I say the value-added tax is 20%, that doesn't mean that you're just going to knock 20% off whatever the total price is. So say you want to go in and purchase an item that's 120 euro. If you were to calculate what 20% is of that item, that's going to be 96 euro, and that is not right. That's not how you do it. It is whatever the initial item is plus 20%. So you kind of have to work backwards. So in reality, that item was originally 100 euro. You add the 20%, and then now it's that 120 euro. So that's about 4 euro off in this scenario. So keep that in mind if you're trying to calculate what that 20% cash back is. Again, they also take out additional fees whenever you're getting the refund. So typically the refund is only about 12% back. So I have everything written out here, and I'm going to share these numbers with you. So I went into Chanel and I purchased a card holder and a boy bag. The card holder was 300 euro and I got 50 euro back in my refund. The boy bag was 3,980 euro and I got 663 euro and 33 cents back. So if I'm going to total everything up here. So the actual purchase price for the card holder and the boy bag ended up being 4,280 euro. Now, the 20% value-added tax rate of that is 713 euro and 33 cents. So after they take out all of their fees and everything, I got back 556 euro and 40 cents. Now, to give you an example of how much I saved, I calculated what a card holder and a boy bag would have been if I had bought it in the US, which would have been $5,100. Since I bought it in Europe, after the exchange rate and the refund and everything like that, I ended up only spending $4,345.56. So on those two items, I saved $754.44 by purchasing it over in Europe. Another example for the Chanel O case that I bought, that one was 420 euro. There was 70 euro of value-added tax automatically included in that. So that means that after the fees and everything, I got a refund of 54 euro and 60 cents. So in the US, to go out and purchase that is $550. Now keep in mind, the US prices that I'm telling you don't include tax. I didn't want to complicate things further because tax rates are different all over the country. So this is pre-tax. So I'm actually saving even more. But in the US, an O case is $550. After the refund and exchange rate and everything, I paid $420.96. So on that one item, I saved $129.04. So that's a lot right there too. And then finally, another one of my purchases where I bought a passport holder and then the Neverfull GM. So a passport holder was 225 euro and then the Neverfull was 1,040 euro. So if you add these both up, that equals 1,265 euro. There was value-added tax of 210 euro and 83 cents. After the fees were taken out, I got a refund of 151 euro and 80 cents. So adding these two items up in US dollars, if I were to buy it in America, that would have cost me $1,735. By buying it in France, I only spent $1,249.33, which was a savings of $485.67. So with these 5 items, by buying everything in Europe, I saved a total of $1,369.15. So that is a super benefit, $1,300 on some items. Given these items were a little bit pricey, they weren't, your just run-of-the-mill, a $200 purse here and there. But if you want to make some pretty big purchases, obviously the higher price the item, the more you're going to save. So if there's a holy grail bag out there that you are just dying to get depending on the price, I mean, $1,300, that is a plane ticket over there. So if you want to take a vacation, you can justify it by saying, you know, I'm just going to buy my Holy Grail bag over there, and with the savings, that's my plane ticket, so I get a free trip out of it. So whatever you need to justify it, that's how us shopaholics think, but I just thought that was kind of silly that I pretty much saved a plane ticket to Europe. And that is all the information that I have for you on the value-added tax refund and that whole entire process. So it's not as complicated as a lot of people think, as long as you know how to do it, what to expect, and have kind of done a little bit of research beforehand. And so by watching this video, you should be an old pro at this by now. So if you have any other questions at all, let me know in the comments section. If you like this video and you want to see more informational videos, travel videos, things like that, also let me know and give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, be sure to hit the subscribe button just so that way you are notified every time I make a new video. And until next time, thanks for stopping by. Money, money, money. Euro!